Hi guys, welcome back to The Vanished Truth, and I'm Juliet.
I'm Anissa.
I'm Yvonne.
And today we're going to be researching a missing persons case. So let's get started. Okay, so the man who went missing, his name is Jim McDonnell, right guys? And so he has a wife, but from what we know, he doesn't have any kids, but they are like very close with their family. But it's just them in a house. And the McDonnell family, they lived in a tiny brick house in the suburbs of New York. So like they're a little up there, okay? And so he was a mail carrier or postman, whatever you want to call it, at a post office, and he worked there for 25 years. So they're very like a local family. You know, they're very involved, I would say. And in 1960, that's when they got married, and they're like locked in. And so yeah, so he's been working there for 25 years, and his wife is a stay-at-home wife. She doesn't work anywhere. He provides for the family, and yeah, that's how it is. And basically, with in 1971, Jim, he suffered through like a lot of like accidents. He's very accident prone, and he's like an older man, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And so in February and March, like throughout those 2 months in 1971, Jim, he suffered from many small accidents, and they triggered like none of the accidents themselves were critical. Like it was just little things, but then all of them adding up, it eventually led to him having amnesia later on. And some of the accidents were one day he was carrying out the garbage and he slipped on ice and he bruised his back when he fell and he hit his head. So obviously that's like something that hurts, but it's not critical because like it happened once. But then these are all like very close, like in dates though. So like a few days later he was driving to work and he was like, like when you sneeze and like it's just like a lot, like many of them.
Yeah.
It's like like that. So he was doing that when he was driving and he lost control of the car and he hit a telephone pole. And his head like banged against the windshield. So like after he hit it, he like flew forward and his head like hit. So keep in mind, a few days later, he just fell on ice, bruised his back, and then hit the back of his head. And now he just hit the front of his head. Eventually, like these adding up, it's gonna hurt a little bit more, And then the next day, he was at work and he just got like a sense of dizziness. Do you guys know like if you stand up too fast, you get like kind of dizzy?
Yeah.
So he got really dizzy at work and he fell down a flight of stairs. And then he hit his head again. So keep in mind, these are 3 accidents within like a few days. And then the last one, which is a little later on, 10 days later, he lost control of the car again and he hit another pole and he was found unconscious and he was hospitalized for 3 days and he had a concussion.
Oh my gosh.
So obviously a concussion, 3 big accidents to your head, like it's gonna like create something, And so obviously, like I said, since all those accidents kept piling on, he eventually he had amnesia. And he was also older, so it's not like uncommon. And he was on his way home this one day, and it was like usually a 15-minute like travel home from where he was. And so his wife was waiting up for him, and it hit like 11:15, and normally that's like a normal time for him to get home. It doesn't take that long to get home, but he didn't arrive. So she was like, oh, like what happened? And so, she's skeptical, but she's staying up. And once it hits 2 a.m., she's still up and he's not home. So she's getting worried and she files a missing persons report with the police because obviously she's worried. That's her husband. And, like, that's her caretaker, essentially. He takes care of them. He takes care of them. Okay. And so since he went missing, Anne, which is his wife's name, she's, like, worried. Like, she doesn't know what's going on. And the police are out there looking. They contact friends, family, and nobody can seem to find out where he went. And there hasn't been like any evidence of like an attack, like him getting hurt or like him wanting to intentionally leave. So they're like, it must be caused of all his accidents and his amnesia. That's the only thing they could think of. So for weeks, Anne, she would stay up and watch TV to try to like distract herself at night, because obviously at night is when he went missing. And then also she would watch TV to try to distract herself from the hammock that's in their living room, because she said he would fall asleep on it all the time. So she's trying to distract herself because she doesn't have her husband there anymore, And sometimes she said that she'd wake up like in a panic because she had a dream that he came home. But then when she woke up, the harsh reality's there and he's not home. Like, she's still alone. And eventually, like I said, she didn't have a job, so she had to get a job because her husband has been gone for, years. And what can she do? She can't just live off the money if he can't keep providing, So some of the jobs she had was babysitting. She worked at a supermarket, and then she worked in a hospital cafeteria. And she switched throughout those jobs for like maybe 10 years. And then eventually in 1977, she took her current job to stay at as a nursing attendant. And she really liked it, because she could keep busy with that. Because, like, it's a hospital. It doesn't close. She can, like, work a lot. And she learned that she should work on the holidays because it distracts her from the fact that she can't spend the holidays with her husband. Yeah. So because of that, she would just stay home and, stay at work and then just work instead of staying home and thinking about, like, her husband going missing, you know what I mean? And, she still had hope that he would come home, Like, she left all his stuff in the same place. She said that she left his razor in his little bucket in the bathroom. She left his toothpaste, his shaving cream, all that. She left everything the same. But the only thing she moved was his clothes to a closet so, like, they wouldn't collect dust. And they wouldn't, like, get, like, oldish, I guess. And so that's what she did for 15 years, distracting herself. But she never lost hope. She never saw anybody else or anything. Like, she had hope that her husband would come back and find her. And, yeah. So back to his story. We don't really know what happened to him, right? So on his way home, his memories are really foggy because of all those accidents. But on his way home, he completely forgot everything. Like, another accident happened, and, like, he's on his way home, and he's like, well, like, he didn't know what was going on. Yeah. He doesn't know who he is. Like, he, like, lost consciousness of who he is. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know anything. So he ends up taking a train to Philadelphia, which is a place he's, like, never been to. And he took on the name James Peters.
What the heck?
Yeah. And so back then, like, during this time when this happened, you did not need to show, like, a birth certificate, like a social security card, or, like, just anything to, like, get legal documents. So he got a social security card with the name James Peters, because that's who he took on the persona of. Because on his way, like, somewhere else, he didn't know who he was, so the past wasn't his problem anymore because he doesn't know what's going on. So he's just going to live in reality and start a life. So he got a social security card, and he just started living like a normal man in Philadelphia, really. He got many jobs. He was a luncheonette at a health club, which is like food server, I guess. And then he worked at a cancer research institute, and he cleaned out animal cages. And then he worked a night shift at P&P, which is a food place that he worked at. And he became very well known there, and he was known for making very good omelets and his courtesy and humor. He was a very funny guy, and people enjoyed his presence. And after a year of working at that, like, restaurant or breakfast place, whatever they call it, he felt very, like, stable there. He, like, got along with everybody. He was known. So he just decided to quit his other job at the Cancer Institute. And, like, during his, like, new life, I guess, for those 15 years in Philadelphia, he made a lot of new friends. He joined activities and all that. And he was an active member of the St. Hugh Roman Catholic Church. So he was very involved, like, where he was. So people, like I said, people enjoyed him, like, as a person. They enjoyed his company. And one day, he was hanging out with a friend, and his friend said, "From your accent, you must be from New York," which obviously is where he was from before he lost his memory. And he just said, "I guess so," because he didn't really know, like, he didn't know his past life. Like, he used to refer back to his life in New York, but he would tell people that it was, like, his life in the past. Like, he reincarnated, essentially, because he didn't know that was his actual life, like, in reality. And so working at the restaurant place, he met this lady named Bernadine. We're just going to call her that. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But she said, "Soon Jim started at P&P. I took a job there as a waitress. My father had died, and Jim apparently had no family, so we adopted each other. He became my father figure, and we, my husband Pete, and our 4 children were his family. The children loved him." So he met this lady where he worked at that restaurant, and they basically became each other's family. He acted like, because she was younger, so he was like a dad to her, because he was obviously older, and then he was like a grandpa to, like, her kids and all that. So he, like, was their family, basically. And they would spend every holiday together, so, because obviously they became family, they became close, and that's the only person he had there, or the only people, like, that family. And about 1 month before Christmas in 1985, Bernadine noticed that Jim had, like, he started to be more quiet. He didn't talk as much, and she knew that something had to have, like, bothered him, And before that, on Thanksgiving, he was obviously with the family, and Jim had a memory of being a postman in his previous life. So basically they were watching TV, his previous life, by the way. So they were watching TV with the family, And one of the kids was like, oh, a postman, like, I can never be that. I'd never want to be that, like, for my job. And he was like, oh, I think I used to be a postman, you know? So everybody's like, wait, how are you a postman if you lived here and you never done that, you know? So everybody's like, okay. And fast forward to Christmas. So like she said, before Christmas, he started to act weird, which is like right after Thanksgiving when he had that weird memory. And on Christmas Eve, Ferdinand and Pete, which was like the girl and her husband, they were waiting up for him because it's Christmas Eve. He's their family. They're waiting, but he doesn't show up.
What the heck?
Yeah, so we're like, wait, what's going on? And so the story behind why he never showed up is because on December 22nd, he fell again and he banged his head. And the next day at work, he seemed like distracted, they said. He didn't seem like he was on his game like he normally is. And that afternoon, he fell again and he struck his head twice in the same day. And then on December 24th, he woke up and he said like he felt confused. Like his mind was like scrambled. It wasn't just like you wake up and you're ready to start the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was confused. And almost after 15 years, when he woke up on Christmas Eve that day, he remembered. He knew who he was. He knew that he was Jim McDonnell and he lived in New York and he had a wife. So, like...
That's so weird.
I know, like, living 15 years without knowing anything, and then you have another accident, and then, like, everything just comes back, like...
It's just, like, head trauma or
yeah,
something.
like, it must be, like...
I thought he had, like, dementia or something.
No, he has amnesia.
Oh,
yeah,
that's what it is?
Yeah. No, but, like, dementia's, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. So, basically, he woke up, and he knew who he was. He knew that he had a wife in New York, but he was hesitant to go back. He was, like... What if she, like, moved on? What if she's married? What if she moved? Like, what if she just moved on with her life? And, like, I don't matter anymore. Because if he went back, what would he do? You know what I mean? But eventually, he built up the courage, and he went back to New York. He wanted to see his wife because he remembered her, and, like, he just hasn't seen her in so long. And so, he's on his way back to New York, and now we're back in Anne's, like, life. It's Christmas Eve, and she just returned home from Mass at church because they were both involved in church, and she lit some candles, and the first thing she did when she got home from church was she prayed for her husband to come back. And keep in mind, this is 15 years later. Like, she still has hope for him. She's still waiting for him. And so after she lit the candles and prayed, she realized that, like, she needs to hurry to her sister's house for Christmas dinner before, like, the roads get too, like, bad and she can't drive because obviously she's older. And so she's, like, in a hurry. She's trying to get ready. Boom, boom, boom. And then the doorbell rang, and she was thinking to herself, she's like, oh my gosh, I can't have, like, a visitor right now, like, I need to go, this, and that. So after the doorbell rang, she went to open the door, and the first thing she saw was a man with a full white beard, and she knew who it was.
I'm gonna cry.
She knew it was her husband, and she was, like, at loss of words, like, she couldn't believe that, like, she just prayed for her husband when she got back from church, and then she was in a rush, and then she opens the door, and he's just there. And, oh my gosh, wait, this is... And, like, she's just there for him. And, like, she's, like, confused. Like, obviously, she hasn't seen him in 15 years. And keep in mind, 7 years after he was pronounced missing, like, he was legally pronounced dead. They could not find him. So, like, she had hope that he'd come back, but she never really, like, thought it would happen. You know what I mean? And, like... It was just, like, a really big shock to her. She was so happy. They were so happy to see each other. And he said that, like, he just knew, like, it was her. And he just felt something when he saw her. Like, something inside him shifted. And he knew that was his wife. And, like...
That's so cute. They need to make a movie or something.
No, seriously. And so, obviously, the first thing she's thinking of is, like, oh, no, like, this already happened. We need to get you to the hospital. Like, we need to make sure you're okay. No way you remembered after 15 years and you forgot, like, our whole life before that. And so they went to the hospital and he got checked and they were fine. Like, he was fine. The doctor said that there's nothing abnormal with his head. So I guess it just, like, knocked him back into place, I guess, that last accident. Because they went to the hospital, they checked, everything was fine. And basically they lived together happily after that. But obviously, the family in Philadelphia, they're still like, where's James, actually? That was his name.
Wait, so he doesn't remember them? Or?
No, he does remember them.
Oh.
So, a reporter actually in New York, they ended up contacting the family the next day, and they told the family what happened, and that Jim was okay, and that his name was Jim. And they ended up telling all his friends back in Philadelphia, because everybody was worried that he was gone. And he was fine after that, and he lived happily with his wife. he never had that trauma again, and his family in Philadelphia was glad that he was okay.
Wow.
So that was the case. It really was. Like, I was researching this case, and like, it was like,
We needed a happy case after
Yeah.
all this trauma.
but it still was a missing persons case, which was unsolved for 15 years.
Yeah.
Keep in mind.
Wait, like the vanished truth, like.
Wait,
Like,
it vanished, but then it came back, and I was like, okay. But yeah, guys, that was our case today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're ready for our next episode. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.